Well, in just about an hour, Mercury is going to go station point and retrograde. Well, that happens 3 times a year. And as much as it has become a thing in the current zeitgeist of American culture, it's usually not something to be fearful about. All it means is it's stopping. It's going to see things in a different direction. It's going to take a pause, and you probably want to take a little extra time if you're signing contracts or starting something new. So, why am I starting something new during Mercury retrograde? And not just any Mercury retrograde, but one that actually makes me even take pause because it happens when it's absolutely uh, the astro weather is pretty stormy right now with a lot of what they call the cardinal crunch, lots of oppositions, conjunctions, and squares in cardinal signs. And also when Mercury is opposed Uranus right now in Taurus. If you don't know, if all that sounds like gobbledygook, in 6 weeks in taking the course, you would understand it. But basically, to put that in a nutshell, there's a lot of turbulence right now. And this course is designed to help you wade through the waters and use the energies to your benefit, to body surf rather than drown. So, anyway, that's kind of what we're looking at. I hope that you'll join us. I have listed that we're going to have a textbook, and this is the textbook that I'm referring right now. It's the first time I've used this textbook. It's DK, which means it's out of England, and it's Carol Taylor is the author. One of the reasons why I chose it amongst besides other ones is that it's clearly done. It's not it's very basic, but very thorough. So it's covering all the different topics that we're talking about. It's doing it in a very accessible language, so that she's not trying to sound, uh, uh, she's not trying to be, in Hawaii, we call it hai makamaka. She's not trying to use words that people don't understand. She's trying to make it into plain language with beautiful pictures. And there's a simplicity and there is an elegance to it, and it doesn't give you a lot of superfluous stuff. It's basic, and that's a good place to start, because as an astrologer, astrology is a science. Yes, there's things that you can measure, and there's things that you can measure and learn about in a traditional way. But just like in medicine, there is the science aspect of it, but then there's the art of the practice. And to do that, you have to practice. And to do that, you have to have three things. There are three prongs to doing astrology well. First is the study. So there is the book learning and the courses that you take and sitting with the teacher. But there's also equally as important is the cohort, a group of fellow astrologers going on the same journey that you are, learning and understanding and grappling with the same concepts. So that is invaluable. So that's one of the things that I'm really thrilled to offer with this course is a cohort. We're going to have a private Facebook group that is people who are not in it can't see who's in it, so trying to protect privacy, so you guys feel comfortable enough to really explore and get the most out of that as you can. The third prong, which is super important, and it's the one that I see causes a lot of anxiety with a lot of people who've been studying astrology forever. They've been reading books for decades, and they still get the hives when it comes to actually reading a chart for somebody. And that is so important to do, and it's so important to do before you're ready. So we're going to start with flat charts, so you can't possibly tell people everything that there is about their chart, because we've kind of got you handcuffed a little bit to be, at the beginning, or at least we've got one hand tied behind the back, because you're not going to be using the normal ascendant for the astrology. It's a flat chart is using one of the luminaries, or sometimes they just do it for a noon or a midnight chart. But I like to use the luminaries, and I'll show you why in the course. And so, and there's reasons for that, and you'll find out more about that. But please, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments on the Facebook chat, because if you've got them, other people do too. Now, one of the things that I wanted to show you just really quickly, just because I'm saying a chart, but that doesn't mean that you know what a chart is. I'm going to share my screen really quickly to see if I can, and this is going to be the chart. It's going to be a mundane chart. Make sure I got the right one. Mundane chart of our course. So this is what the sky looks like tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Central Time when we start our Zoom course. Any astrologer who does electional astrology, and that is trying to find a good time for something, will tell you there are no good times to do anything this October because the planets are extra special. So I did have to do a little bit of tweaking to come up with this, and I'll tell you a little bit about my thoughts and strategies. If you've got different insights, join in on the comment. Tell me what you think is going to be some of our problems. Let's see what you think some of the benefits are. We can have that discussion on the Facebook page for Cazimi Connections, but also in the private group. I'm going to love watching you guys grapple with this one because I think it's an interesting chart. First off, it's a night chart because the sun is already set. Here's the 7th house. Here's the sun right here in the 6th house. This is where the sun sets, and it's already dark outside at 7 o'clock. Can you believe it? What we've got over here is the ascendant, that's Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus in a night chart is the nighttime benefic. It is one of the best charts. Now the light for a nighttime chart is the moon. So we've got here Venus and moon trined Uranus, which is the great disruptor, but it's also one of the planets associated with astrology. And that's a nice trine going there. So we need all the trines and all the good luck that we can. So we've got Venus and the moon, which are really helpful for the nighttime chart, in the 5th house, which is a house of good luck. And it's trined Uranus in the 1st house, and Venus is ruling that ascendant. Now, if you also look to see what is across from Uranus, that is our Mercury that is station point. So here we've got Mercury retrograde station point, we've got Uranus retrograde, and they're opposed to each other. But that is kind of an interesting dynamic that I think we can use for this course and use that energy to our benefit. Because what does Mercury do in Scorpio? This is Scorpio over here. It unearths things. It discovers things. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be discovering what it is about astrology that is going to be helpful for us. If we look up here, we've got that grand crunch in Capricorn, Pallas, Jupiter, Pluto, the midheaven, and Saturn right there in the 9th house, which is the house of the temple arts, which is actually how astrology started. It's how higher education started. These were associated with the monasteries and the temples. And so that is, we're going to use all that energy where it should be. So any conflicts, that's kind of like debating and discussing and really getting to the nitty gritty of the different aspects of things, which is kind of nifty. The other house that is associated with astrology is the 11th house, and that's the house of hopes and dreams, and it's ruled by Pisces, which is very spiritual. We've got Neptune right here. So I'm hoping to take all of our wounded, and we've got Mars and Chiron and Lilith right here, and it's very wounded in Aries in the 12th house, and we're going to elevate that into a spiritual thing. In fact, instead of, in lieu of having a tuition for the course, I'm asking for a donation to the women's shelter, which is it's a way that we can turn that energy into something special to give people, give women who are subject to domestic abuse a place, a safe haven to be. And that is going to be the fruits of our temple arts. We also have the sun over here. It's not the ruling light, the moon is. but it's in the sixth house, which also deals with healing. So you've got that polarity there. It's not in the best spot. It's in Libra, but Libra is ruled by our friend Venus, and it also happens to be right smack on Spica, which is also a good fortune. So what doesn't look like good fortune actually is a cause to heal the unfortunate, the misfortune that we have here. So by doing this, we're going to be looking and we're going to do some deep healing for ourselves and others. And also having a heck of a lot of fun, because the big planets that we're looking at here, Venus and the moon, are in the fifth house of pleasure and good fortune. The other planet that we'd be looking at would be Saturn, which again is in the stellium in Capricorn, which it likes. It's in a place where it feels comfortable. It's very powerful there, which gives us some structure. It also rules Aquarius as the traditional ruler. And now, of course, Aquarius is associated in modern times with Uranus, but it still has that Saturn aspect to it. So we're going to harness what is best in Saturn to use that to be helpful for us. So that's how I look at it. Maybe a little bit rosier, about as rosy a spin as you can put on the energies we've got. I am not. The energies that we have now are challenging. So if you were wanting to understand how to deal with these challenging energies, that's why we want to have the class now. Not when things are placid, but when things are a little bit in turmoil, to give a little bit of direction and a little bit, we're going to use Saturn's structure to kind of ground us in all this wonderful earth trine in energy that we've got going on here. Grabbing as much of the good stuff as we can to use it to push things forward in a way that's beneficial to ourselves, to our loved ones, and to our community. Okay, well, thank you. If you've got questions, put them in the link below. Hopefully that piqued your interest, and we'd love to see you. We'd love to have you join us. If you can't join us for that, maybe you'd like to have your chart read. And again, we're asking $5 donation to the Passages Shelter in southeastern Wisconsin. But if you've got a local shelter that you'd like to give to, I would honor that as well. So just put your comments in the comments, or shoot me a private message with Cazimi Connections, and we can get you set up for that. All right. Well, thank you, and have a blessed day. Okay. How am I going to get out of here? Stop share. And stop recording.